All right, so we're going to talk about my LMT rifle setup, what I was going for, what parts I put on it, and why, pros and cons. Hopefully, this will help somebody out there decide whether or not they want a rifle that's similar to this or some of the pieces of kit that's on it. So we'll start off with why LMT. I owned a bunch of ARs. I was looking for an ambidextrous lower, and so LMT makes one. They have a great reputation. I'd been following them because of their enhanced bolts, and I found one that was for sale. This is a LMT MLC, I think. It's got, I think, like an 11.5 inch barrel. The goal for this gun wasn't to be super lightweight. I've got another video on my Honey Badger. My Honey Badger's, the whole point was to keep it as lightweight as possible. The goal for this gun was to be able to do as much as possible. So in this case, I wanted to shoot regular 223 5.56 ammunition, and I wanted to be able to shoot out as far as we could see kind of out here on the ranch. And so we could see a little bit further, but I've shot this gun out to 400 yards on a 12-inch tall by 8-inch wide piece of steel, and I've been able to confirm what my drops are there. And so for as far as shooting, this is longer than this. I confirm this gun can shoot as long as any game that I would want to take here on this property, which is in North Texas in the Panhandle. The other piece is it needed to be able to work at night, both as a self-defense carbine and because we shoot a bunch of pigs and stuff at night. And so I wanted to be able to have white light and or a laser to be able to make it easier to not have to use the 1X during we're driving around side by side shooting pigs. So we're going to do this a little bit tip to butt, Grantham style, talk about what is on the gun and why. So we'll start off here. This is a CRUX titanium suppressor. This company no longer is around, so I wouldn't recommend buying it. This can permanently lives on this gun. I don't ever shoot it without the silencer on it. So that's the tip. Okay, then we come back a little bit and we have this Cloud Defensive Owl. This light is crazy bright. It's also very convenient. So the Cloud Defensive Owl can come off all on its own with a pressure pad, and I can move this from gun to gun. I can give this to a buddy's gun if he needs white light as we're going out. For some reason, he's got like if he's got like a 6.8 SPC or whatever, he's not set up to shoot at night. This gives him a little bit of white light ability. Then down here, I have this Viridian's HS1 laser. At the time of filming, it only recently came out a couple weeks ago, and I absolutely love it. It connects into these Mloc slots down here. It's pressure activated, so if I press this little button here, then I get a green light. And the way I've got it set up right now, I can squeeze the white light on its own, or the laser, or I can squeeze both, and I can see the green laser in the white light. It's super convenient, very ergonomic. Handed it to some buddies who have never run lasers before, and they were able to get it to work. And it's a very fast way of going from riding in a side-by-side to shooting at a pig at 30, 40 yards. I think the furthest kill we've gotten with a laser was about 110 at a running pig off the back porch. So that was pretty good. You'll also notice here that I have these rubberized grips. These came with the LMT. I had not heard of them before, made by a company called Ergo grips. And they don't add much to the diameter of the handguard, which I really enjoy. But they are rubberized, which means that if I'm shooting off the edge of a side-by-side, or if I'm in a blind, I'm bracing against the window just doesn't. I don't get that metal on metal noise, and it gives me a little bit of friction there. Also, ARs get cold when it's cold outside, and so having the rubber on there means that your front hand is less cold, which is kind of convenient. And they slide into these Mloc slots fairly easily, so I highly recommend them. A little bit further back, this is the Vortex 1-6 Razor. This is not the enhanced model. That's a little bit lighter. I've owned it for a long time in a Bobro mount. That's quick QD. The glass quality on this is great. You know, if anything, I think this throw lever is a little stiff, which they've fixed on some of their later models. It's also only 6x magnification, which makes it tough to positively identify stuff at a really long distance, but makes it super easy to hit any of the things that we would shoot at our blinds. Or blinds are about 110 yards, and the 6x magnification is great for that, especially for twilight, species identification, doe, buck, whitetail mule deer, for example. Really, really enjoy it. The 1X on it is reasonable, and the ability to have it's got a illuminated reticle in here, and there's off positions between each level, which is super handy to keep it near the position you want it on. You rotate it one way or the other, and it'll be pretty close. So I really like that. The reason why I have the Bobro mount here is because we rent thermals on a regular basis, once a year or so. And so I can take the optic off, drop a thermal on, and put the optic back and have it close to being on zero, which is pretty cool. So if you're not familiar with the LMT Ambi guns, there's like two really standout features in my mind. One is this upper is completely monolithic. So there is no handguard here that's separate. This handguard and the upper is all one piece, which means my laser is more likely to stay on, which is great. And the other feature is that this bolt hold open I can activate with my right hand. And so if I put the gun in my armpit and I pull back on the bolt, I can push down here and keep the bolt locked open. And this is super handy because out on this ranch that we hunt on, the rule is the guns that are inside the house aren't loaded. And so every time you're coming in and out, you're having to unload and lock the bolt open. And so this is just a super convenient way to catch that round or be able to not be twisted in weird positions. So it's really comfortable. Moving a little bit further back, this is a SBA3 brace. This gun has a tax stamp pending on it, so the next time you see this, it might have a stock on it. Over here, I will say probably the biggest complaint I have on this gun is that this grip is super comfortable. Really like the grip, but the plug falls out. So it fell out within a week of me owning the gun. I reached out to LMT. They sent me a new plug for free. About a year later, it got lost again in the woods when we were stalking some pigs. And so I think I'll probably leave it out, but it means that I lost the spare battery and the little tool for zeroing the optic that was in here, which is too bad. Same kind of thing with the scope cap. I've got scope cap covers on the front or back. You might be able to tell there's dust covering this gun, and so I like to keep the scope caps closed when we're driving around the side-by-side. But this one fell off because a buddy was using this gun and it rubbed against his kit and fell off in the woods. So the last thing I'll talk about here is, before I get into why there's painter's tape on this gun, is this is a Blue Force Gear. Sorry, I spin this around. This is a Blue Force Gear Vickers padded sling. I ran a very similar sling in a 5-day class. Had to wear a rifle for 6-ish plus hours a day for 5 days, and it was crazy comfortable. So I know there are lots of great sling manufacturers, but I've just stopped shopping. This is what I'll get. I've got QD cups on both sides, so this can be stored without a sling on it, or I can hand it off to a buddy who has QD cups on his rifle but no sling. And either way, I just love the rifle, and it's also when I'm using something else like a 308, it's one of the ones that my friends pick up. The last thing I'll talk about here is this painter's tape. So on this gun, I verified this gun out to 400 yards, and I have my holdovers at 25, 50, 200, 300, and 400 through the optic, and I've actually confirmed each of these distances at that range to make sure that with this gun and this ammo and everything, I know exactly what my holdovers are. So that is crazy handy. I highly recommend doing it. I can't lose it, and if I don't use this gun for a while, then at the very least, when I pick it back up, I'll know which of my cases of ammo I should be using in order to be able to be confident. So all in all, highly recommend the LMT. I think a bunch of the gear here is really worked out well for me out here when we're shooting pigs, and just can't speak highly enough on it. That's all.